Again, welcome to the Wholesome Wave National Nutrition Incentive Network webinar, Growing Your Incentive Program. This webinar will provide national nutrition incentive networks with information and resources on how to expand and sustain your program. This webinar will be available for your future reference and as a training for other staff or volunteers. You can forward the recording along to them once you receive the link. Presenting at this webinar today will be my colleague Lauren Wenstrom and Mukete Kwenzi. A little bit of information about the Wholesome Wave National Nutrition Incentive Network. In 2014, the incentive programs we're partnering with reached over 50,000 consumers, 5,600 farmers, and leveraged over 3.3 million in incentives and federal benefits. This year, in 2015, we expanded to 34 states and DC, working with 78 network members that represent over 500 direct-to-consumer markets, including farmers markets, CSAs, and mobile markets. We're extremely proud and excited to bring together this inspiring group of practitioners to help increase capacity with our network, within our network to reach even more consumers and farmers in the future. As you can see here, these numbers show a steady increase in the number of incentive program sites and consumers and farmers served by these programs since Wholesome Wave started its operations in 2008. With its rapid expansion, we have recognized a need to build the capacity of incentive program operators as they move through from the very beginning, stage one of starting programs, through growing their programs to serve more customers in what we call stage two, as these higher capacity programs link together and expand into statewide networks in stage three. And finally, once fully formed, regional and statewide networks look to start engaging in innovation, research, and advocacy to make the case for incentive programs with policymakers at the national level. They're in stage four. We support the movement of programs along these various stages with our network services shown here. First, tools and technical assistance that include this webinar and other web-based trainings, our online downloadable toolkits, and in-person direct assistance and our site visits. We also gather data about incentive programs at the national level and make this information available for educational and advocacy purposes. Finally, we have developed and are continuing to expand our resources for incentive programs to engage with one another in a community of practice via listserv, newsletter, resource library, and our annual summit coming up in Atlanta, Georgia in January of 2016. You should all be receiving listserv emails and the monthly newsletter. If not, please let us know and we'll make sure that you're signed up. We encourage you to take full advantage of all of these resources. If you have any questions about how to get more involved in the network, you can contact us at Wholesome Wave or contact your program manager to find out more.
So let's get started with how to grow your incentive program. This webinar is designed to provide program operators, administrators, and market staff of nutrition incentive programs who have some experience running a program with the tools and resources needed to grow and expand. These are the topics we'll be covering today. We'll start with talking about setting goals for expanding your program, then discuss strategies to achieve those goals, including building partnerships with other groups, collecting data about your market to help you make the case that your program is impacting healthy food access, launching a cohesive marketing campaign, fundraising to ensure the sustainability and expansion of your program, innovating on your program to bring a deeper level of engagement with your customers, and evaluators who can provide specialized assistance to help you to grow your program. We'll stop periodically to answer any questions that you may have. Before setting off on any activities to expand your program, it's helpful to first set a vision and determine your specific goals. In this section, we'll offer a few guidelines on this process and then highlight various options for how to grow your program. To set your vision for expansion, begin by engaging in a brainstorming session. You can do this on your own, with your staff, or with your entire organization. Or you can include others like community partners, incentive program participants, and any other stakeholders. This can be a big blue sky exercise. Think big and aim high. What is your vision for the future? Why is the program important to you in the community? An example of a vision statement could be healthy, affordable, local food for everyone. Next, you'll want to think in a more targeted way to set specific goals around expansion. How do you want to grow? and what do you want to achieve? You may want to expand your own market by increasing the number of federal nutrition benefit customers you reach and the number of incentives you distribute. You may want to increase the time your market is open. Perhaps you'd like to expand from a 6-month operation to running a year-round market. Another way to expand is by starting an incentive program at other markets, either those within or outside of your own network. When setting goals, we advise the SMART approach. This is a handy way to remember to make your goals specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. The goal to increase number of markets running incentive programs is a laudable one, but it is vague and undefined. Following the SMART framework prompts you to think through each element, so your revised goal may be add 3 new market sites to the incentive program by the end of the 2016 season. Once you've determined your vision and goals, you can start to take strategic actions, including building partnerships. The support of partners was likely helpful for you as you got your program up and running. As you expand your continuing to build upon and seeking new partnerships is critical to continued success. In this section, we'll talk about identifying potential new partners, what makes for a good partner, and ways that you can collaborate to create mutually beneficial relationships. Community partners come in all shapes and sizes, with differing missions and levels of capacity. These partnerships can help you to raise awareness about your program and attract new customers. Approach these groups with an idea of how they can help you and how you can reciprocate. A few ideas for partners are listed here. Consider groups that are already working with your target audience, like anti-hunger organizations. They are likely conducting outreach regularly and may be willing to include information about your program in their messaging or distribute your program brochures and flyers. Community development corporations are another great potential partner. They often hold programs for community members on family budgeting or healthy eating, and you may be able to schedule time to speak to their members during a class or at one of their events. The Departments of Social Services and other offices that administer SNAP or other federal nutrition benefits may be willing to provide assistance with outreach to inform beneficiaries about your program. We'd like to share an outreach partnership success story from one of our network members, the Old Town Farmers Market in Alexandria, Virginia. In a partnership with their local social services agency, the market creates bilingual postcards promoting their incentive program, and the agency then mails these postcards each month to all new SNAP recipients who live within the zip codes of the market. The market also provides bilingual flyers to the agency's caseworkers who hand them out to individuals as they sign up for SNAP. Once you've identified the organizations you'd like to partner with, you'll want to make it as easy as possible for them to help you spread the word about your incentive program. You can do that by distributing your program's promotional materials to partners throughout the season and ensure that you keep them up to date about any program events, fundraisers, or other successes. Also consider providing ready-to-use social media language that your partners can simply repost on their own social media sites or share with their networks. One last point we'd like to emphasize here is to always thank your partners for their support. They are truly critical to the success of your program. Another important potential group of partners we'd like to highlight is healthcare providers. These can range from small neighborhood clinics to community health centers to major hospitals. Your program, which makes it easier for people to afford and purchase fruits and vegetables, promotes healthy eating in the community. And healthcare organizations may be eager to partner with you, as your program is directly benefiting their clients and patients. Try connecting to these groups by looking at their existing health promotion efforts. For example, many health clinics offer classes and workshops on healthy eating, physical activity, and management of diet-related diseases such as diabetes and obesity, and would be happy to promote your program to their patients. Your program complements their nutrition education efforts with actionable steps their clients can take to improve their health. Another option to consider is tabling at health fairs. These events often take place during market season and are a great opportunity to reach new audiences. If you have the capacity, send a staff member or a volunteer. If not, supply your partner with your program flyers and brochures and request that they distribute them on your behalf. Finally, reciprocate the favor by inviting these groups to table at your market so they can promote their programs to your customers as well. We'll talk about additional, more in-depth ways to directly connect your program to healthcare providers later in the webinar. SNAP-Ed is part of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program that provides nutrition education to SNAP-eligible populations. consider partnering with a community-based organization that receives SNAP-Ed funding to promote your program. Although SNAP-Ed funding cannot be used to directly fund an incentive program, it is a great way to offer complimentary nutrition education sessions and can be used to fund activities like cooking demonstrations or food-based gardening classes, and to fund resources like recipes and nutrition education handouts. Finally, we want to discuss one of the most significant partnerships there is, and that is partnerships with other markets. There are a number of ways to collaborate with other local markets, from simple to more in-depth. One easy yet effective way to work together is to create a shared farmers market schedule with other markets in your geographic area. We'd like to showcase network member Hartford Food Systems in Connecticut, who has created such a schedule. The group gathered market days, times, and locations for multiple farmers markets around the city and included all of the information on one flyer, which you'll see there on the right, which the group then distributes, making it easier for consumers who may want to shop for healthy foods throughout the week. Another way to partner with local markets is to share resources, including staff. We all know that market managers often have limited time and capacity. One way to offer support to managers is for several markets to come together to hire one coordinator who can take on some of the responsibilities associated with the incentive program at each market site. We'd like to highlight our network member, Seacoast Eat Local from New Hampshire. They hired one SNAP coordinator to travel between 5 independently owned farmers markets in the state. The coordinator manages all operational aspects of the program, including marketing, outreach, and accounting, and also handles some of the data reporting and evaluation. You can also work with other markets to expand your incentive program, bringing the program to additional markets, either those within or outside of your own network. Reach out to other markets in your geographic area to find good partners. At the most basic level, seek markets that show an interest in your program. You'll also want to ensure that the markets are able to accept federal nutrition benefits and that they have the capacity to run a program. That means that they have adequate staffing, including an on-site market manager, and the time, skills, and equipment to operate the program. If you do find a good match with another market interested in launching an incentive program, you'll want to provide them with the assistance they need to get up and running, and you'll want to develop clear relationship parameters from the start. One way to get the partnership off on the right foot is to develop a memorandum of understanding. This document outlines the roles, responsibilities, and expectations of each partner. Once that is in place, provide support to the new program by training market staff on all aspects of program implementation, including how the program is administered, how to conduct outreach to promote the program, and how to collect data to manage finances and vendor reimbursement. Share your program tools and resources so they do not have to recreate the wheel, and so you're both using the same paperwork, tracking systems, and marketing materials. If you're providing funding to the new program, make sure to reassess your own budget projections for benefit and incentive sales. If you need a refresher on how to project your budgetary needs, you can refer to our How to Run an Incentive Program Toolkit on our online resource library. Finally, we want to note one big benefit of working with other markets, and that is that you can now apply for joint funding with your new partner. Partnerships strengthen your grant application and enable you to show a larger reach and program impact. Partnering with other markets can be the first step to developing a larger network of programs. As your programs continue to grow, consider the possibility of developing a statewide incentive program. This type of collaboration requires significant time and effort, but results in significant benefits. Small networks are great and are a first step, but changing access really happens at the level of a very large city or state. Working jointly with other markets as a robust network of statewide incentive programs gives you infinitely more power to market your program, to fund your program, to reach new customers, and to advocate with strength in numbers. The biggest Finney grantees are working at the state level, including our network member, Florida Organic Growers. FOG is the backbone for the statewide network, which currently consists of 23 markets and has ambitions to grow to 50 markets by 2018. FOG works effectively and efficiently to make decisions with and on behalf of its markets around program design, branding, data collection, and more. FOG is able to leverage the work done at a local level to create a united voice at the statewide level. For those of you interested in pursuing network development, we're in the process of working on 2 new toolkits that will be coming out in the next few months, and we'll be sure to let you know when they're available on the resource library.
Thank you, Lauren. We'll now discuss how to use data from your nutrition incentive program to make the case that your program is truly making healthy food more affordable and accessible to low-income consumers while creating economic benefits for local farmers and the nearby community. While outputs refers to the activities undertaken in order to deliver programs and services to target populations, outcomes refers to the impact your program is having in both the short and long term for those populations, including farmers, consumers, and the community. As you think about collecting and reporting data, you should also know the difference between quantitative data, which refers to data that can be directly and precisely measured, like sales and transaction numbers, and qualitative data, which is descriptive data that cannot be directly quantified, like information on customer shopping habits. By learning how to use your data effectively, you can report with confidence to a number of audiences. First, you'll want to collect qualitative data to complement the data that you are already tracking for your program. The foremost way to do so is through implementing surveys for customers, vendors, and market managers. Such surveys can reveal to you the percentage of customers that are taking part in your incentive program, the impact that your market and program has on farmer sales, or how easy market managers find your program to implement. These surveys should be clear, direct, and easy to administer. Try to keep them short enough to conduct in just a few minutes in the market environment. As you look to implementing surveys, consider offering customers a small incentive for participating, such as a token or $2 to $5 in market dollars upon answering your questions. Know that while customer surveys will be the primary way to collect information on your market, you can also use surveys to shape your program by interviewing your target audiences outside of the market itself. By targeting federal benefit consumers outside of your market, such as conducting surveys at food pantries or churches, you can discover why they would choose to shop at your farmers market and reveal information that can help you shape an outreach or marketing campaign for low-income consumers. Take the time to design a survey with questions that can be easily answered and readily analyzed. As mentioned, stick to questions with discrete answers. That is, try to limit yourself to questions that are either yes, no, or multiple choice for ease of administration and analysis. The Growing Your Incentive Program Toolkit also includes Wholesome Wave developed surveys for customers, vendors, and market managers focused on incentive programs that is ready to be implemented at market. Once you've developed your survey, think in depth about the best way to administer the survey based on how your market functions. The ideal way to get responses is by directly asking customers your survey questions and filling out their responses. You can also hand the survey off to respondents to complete themselves, though you lose some control in this instance of ensuring that the entire survey is completed and all of the questions have been understood. On that note, conducting surveys at market can be incredibly time-consuming and distracting for managers, as it requires a good deal of focus and effort. Thus, surveys are a great opportunity to use volunteers to help with the many tasks associated with administration. Not only can volunteers be leveraged to actually directly conduct the surveys at markets, but also to support general market tasks while the manager is busy with surveys or other responsibilities. You may also need support in entering the data from surveys for analysis. Make sure that you are thoroughly training for consistent methodology and to ensure that you're collecting the best data possible. Customer surveys can be an incredibly powerful tool for collecting data on how your incentive program is affecting shoppers at your market. Beyond basic customer demographics like gender, race and ethnicity, age, and household size, you should aim to ask questions that illuminate the perceptions your customers have of the program and your market. Use the opportunity to ask about shopping habits, such as how often customers shop at the market, and fruit and vegetable purchasing and consumption, such as average produce intake and how the program affects how many fruits and vegetables they purchase. Inquire as well about perceptions of the market itself. Do customers feel welcome? How does the market affect how they feel about the community? Is it easy to redeem benefits and incentives? A variety of questions focused on these topics can help you understand not only your program's impact, but also how to change and adapt your program to the community's needs. Customer surveys are well complemented by vendor and market manager surveys, which will flesh out the data that you collect through your customer surveys with additional perspectives. Vendor surveys are valuable for bringing out the arguments surrounding the economic impact of your program, especially discovering how your incentive program, as well as the acceptance of federal benefits, is impacting the way that your vendors are running their own businesses. Are they seeing increased sales, growing more produce because they are selling more, having a better overall market experience? Moreover, farmers market network managers may want to administer market manager surveys. They can use the experience of market managers to better understand if your program implementation is easy and efficient. Ask not only about their perception of the program's impact on customer attendance and sales, but also incentive program operations, like ease of running the program on or off-site. Statistics alone are not enough to make the case for your program. You will need to add context and narrative to your data to construct a compelling argument for support from different audiences. Basic analysis of your data should include year-to-year comparisons and a demonstration of growth or expansion in key areas like incentives redeemed, vendor sales, or customer attendance. Cross-tabulation is a statistical tool that reveals how two different variables are related to each other and will allow you to directly examine how different groups of customers have answered your survey questions. You should aim to get deeper insight into your incentive program to by cross-tabulating your data to reveal and highlight the behavioral differences between different demographic groups. Use information like age, SNAP customers, or first-time market visitors to discover how different customer groups are using your program. As you collect program impacts in different areas, you'll want to start reporting on your data. Know that different audiences will be looking for different things and adjust your reporting accordingly. Let's start by speaking about communicating with policymakers, who are looking for the ways in which your incentive program impacts vendors, consumers, and community in positive ways. Focus on the economic and agricultural effects that those engaged with your program report, including how vendors are deriving benefits, such as growth in vendor sales, vendors who report that the market makes up a significant portion of their overall income, and vendors reporting that federal benefit and incentive sales increase their total market sales. These are especially significant to agricultural agencies. Policymakers such as the local Department of Public Health and SNAP agencies may look for you to report on local businesses who report that the market improves the neighborhood or it increases their sales, or customers who report that federal benefits and incentives increase their food budget and their consumption of healthy food. You will also find yourself in regular communication with your funders. Funders certainly want to know about the overall impact of your program, but there are a few impacts that you should focus on as you report to them. In addition to customer impact, like increased purchasing and consumption of fresh fruits and vegetables, make sure to review your grant requirements and a given grant or foundation's goals when reporting to these audiences. You'll want to make sure that your reporting aligns with any objectives you set for your program upon receiving funding. A particularly significant metric for funders is the amount of additional funds leveraged, or, to put it another way, to what extent you have used one funding source to attract others. Leveraging funds shows that your project is widely supported, displays sustainability, and shows that you are able to foster relationships and partnerships. Finney, for example, expects grantees to leverage funds by 100% through requiring a full match of all funds granted. Lastly, think about reporting on your program to market customers themselves. By demonstrating impacts to the audience who engages with your work directly, you show your commitment to operating a program that truly serves the community. Don't forget, market customers often form the base of your individual donors. Show data that customers can personally connect to, such as data reflecting improved quality of life or economic impact in the community, statistics reflecting produce affordability at the market, data showing customers value the ability to use federal benefits at the market, and positive customer quotes or testimonials about the program and the market itself. This sort of information can be integrated into brochures about your organization, annual appeals, or fact sheets. Fact sheets are a great way to demonstrate your impact in a visually engaging way. Use the major impacts and statistics of your program, especially number of customers served, incentives and federal benefits spent, sales growth, and numbers demonstrating how customers are changing their purchasing and eating habits based on use of the incentive program. Fact sheets should be no more than 1 page front and back so that you are communicating the fundamentals of your program at a glance. Once developed, this resource can be integrated into press kits and grant applications. To go more in depth about the impact that you are having, consider creating end-of-season reports for more robust program analysis. These reports should include major program activities, including any complementary programming to your incentive program like cooking classes, demographic information on your customers and vendors, economic impact, especially concerning increased vendor sales and dollars spent in the surrounding community, health impact, especially, as always, concerning increased purchasing or intake of fresh produce by incentive program customers, positive illuminating stories and quotes from customers, market managers, and vendors that flesh out, support, and add narrative to your data, images, especially of customers in the farmers market environment using the incentive program or federal benefits, and historical or trending data to show the growth and change in your program over time. Don't forget to include an executive summary and a conclusion that summarizes the major details of your report. Let's take a moment to pause for questions on the information we've covered so far before bouncing back to Lauren.
We have no questions so far, but continue to type in your questions as they come up, and we'll answer them during the next break. We're going to move on to talk about marketing. An effective way to help expand your program is to get the word out through marketing. Many of you are likely already engaging in activities to market your program, be it through posting on your market's Facebook page or distributing program brochures. In this section, we encourage you to take your marketing to the next level by launching a full-fledged, cohesive marketing campaign. Before we begin this section, I'd like to quickly note the difference between outreach and marketing. Outreach is messaging for and connecting to your potential customers. Clearly, this is a critical element to your program's success, and we have an entire toolkit called the Outreach Idea Book and a webinar devoted to providing guidance on outreach strategies on our online resource library. Today, however, we're focusing on marketing, and in contrast to outreach, marketing is intended to reach a far wider audience with messages that will position your program in a positive light for the general public, potential funders, the press, and other stakeholders. Launching a marketing campaign includes the following steps, each of which we'll discuss in more depth in the next few slides. Setting goals, thinking through and creating your messaging, identifying media outlets, developing your marketing materials, and finally tracking the effectiveness of your campaign to see what's working well and what you may need to refine moving forward. Once again, before conducting any activities, it's important to spend some time thinking through what it is you want to accomplish and to set goals for your campaign. This will help to focus your messaging and determine which marketing outlets to use. A sample goal for a campaign might be to create a press kit, issue a press release, create a Facebook page, and develop one new post per market day, and to purchase one advertisement each month during the 2016 market season. For all of your marketing materials, you'll want to include the essential information about your program. Take some time to draft this language so it's ready to plug and play into your various marketing materials. That way, you're using consistent and clear language across the board. And all materials include the who, what, where, when, and how. It's also helpful to include a brief explanation of the program and the specifics on how your program works. For example, let people know that your program helps SNAP beneficiaries double their money up to $20 every market day on the purchase of fresh, locally grown fruits and vegetables. You'll also want to highlight your program's impact in your messaging. Share information about your program's economic impacts on farmers and local businesses which benefit from increased traffic in the area on market days, and the health impacts of increasing fruit and vegetable consumption among low-income consumers, and about the social impacts, that your market serves as a community gathering place that contributes to feelings of cohesion and positive perceptions of the neighborhood. Your marketing materials are a great place to showcase the results from your customer, vendor, and market manager surveys that we discussed earlier in the webinar. Again, draft this language so it's ready to cut and paste into the appropriate marketing materials, such as press kits or press releases, which we'll discuss in the next few slides. In addition to this type of stock text, you'll want to gather stock images. Spend some time at your market on the next beautiful weather day and snap photos of customer-vendor transactions, of the bustling market information booth, or of the bounty and beauty of fresh fruits and vegetables at your market. Lovely photos are a great way to attract people's attention to your marketing materials. As a reminder, obtain permission from all individuals whose photographs you plan to use in your materials. You may download photo release forms in both English and Spanish on our online resource library. Once you've thought through your goals and crafted your marketing messages, consider what media channels are appropriate. We've included a brief overview here of the different types of media, which can be divided into three main categories. Paid media is what we think of as traditional advertising, like newspaper and online ads that you must purchase. Owned media includes your organization's own media channels, such as your website, blog, newsletter, social media accounts, brochures, and press releases. Earned media, also often referred to as free media, is unpaid publicity that you've gained through word of mouth through shares on social media. Let's first talk about paid media, and we'll provide some suggestions for using it effectively. Again, paid media includes things like newspaper and magazine ads, so you'll need funding for this portion of your campaign. On that note, be aware that ad rates are negotiable. Many outlets will offer a discounted rate to nonprofit organizations, so make sure to inquire about this from the start. Even if you don't have an official nonprofit status, some outlets may offer you a discounted rate because of your group's social mission. Make your case by showing how your program benefits the community. Use your program fact sheets and other key data points you've collected. You may also consider offering an in-kind contribution instead of paying the standard rate. So, for example, you could offer to place the media outlet's logo on your marketing brochures in exchange for a reduced rate. Finally, there are other factors that affect the price of an ad, including the day of week it is run, the size of the ad, and the number of times it appears. Ask questions to determine the combination of these factors that strikes the right balance, something that you can afford that is also effective in reaching your audience. When using paid media, consider using a diversity of outlets. City and state newspapers are best to use when you have a large announcement for a wide audience, such as the start of the season or a large-scale fundraiser. Consider running an ad at the same time that you announce a big event to help reinforce your message for readers. Community publications are great to use when you have more targeted ads or announcements. More so than with a larger paper, with a local publication, you may have the opportunity to connect with the reporters there. Through this relationship with a staffer, you can work together to plan a few strategically planned articles about your program that coincide with major cooking holidays like the 4th of July or Thanksgiving, or at the beginning of the harvest. This is an excellent way to gain some free publicity or earned media. Similarly, you can also seek out local food bloggers or writers. They are often looking for stories and would love the opportunity to share information about your program, and they present yet another way to earn free media attention. Beyond your traditional print ad, there is the option of placing ads on buses or billboards. These ads reach a large audience and can be an effective way to quickly communicate main points about your program. Use as few words as possible, but include links to your website or social media account so people can access more detailed information. We'd like to highlight the great work of our network member, the Boston Farmers Market. The market ran this bus ad about their program shown here at the bottom of the screen. The ads were run in Spanish on a bus route through a majority Latino neighborhood. Let's now take a closer look at owned media, and we'll discuss a few marketing materials that your organization can develop to have in your marketing arsenal. A press kit includes background information on your program and your market, such as how long you've been in operation and perhaps the story of how you got started. It includes your season start and end dates, a schedule of events, photographs of your market, and any fact sheets or reports that show your program's impact. Distribute your press kit to local media outlets at the beginning of your market season. Other ways to reach the press are press releases and media alerts, each of which has their own purpose. Use a press release to announce an event or the launch of your program season. Releases are typically written in the style of a news article, so it's appropriate to include background information on your market and to cite data on your program's impacts. Send the release out at the time of or immediately following the event. Media alerts, on the other hand, are used to invite reporters to a specific newsworthy event. Alerts are typically released twice before the event, once in the weeks preceding and once again in the days preceding. In contrast to the press release, media alerts are less than a page and cover the basics of the who, what, when, where, and why. Other types of marketing materials that are useful to have on hand include brochures for wide and general distribution and promotional display items like sandwich boards and posters to use when attending local events. We'd like to highlight our network member, the Abita Springs Art and Farmers Market, located in Abita Springs, Louisiana. They are a wonderful example of using media channels effectively and using their owned media to generate earned media. This summer, the market manager issued a press release to announce the launch of their market's incentive program. This release was then picked up by a local reporter who wrote a story about the program in the New Orleans Times-Picayune newspaper. Abita Market then gave the article even more airtime by posting it on their Facebook page. After you've put in all of this effort to launch your media campaign, you'll want to know what worked and what may need some fine-tuning. There are a number of methods to track the effectiveness of your various marketing methods, and we've provided a few suggestions here. For paid media, you can use QR codes, which stands for Quick Response. These codes allow people to simply scan the code on the ad with their smartphone. Alternatively, you can use unique web addresses in your ads and then measure the number of hits on that web page after the ad is run. With your organization's owned media, you can track things like number of website hits or social media mentions before, during, and after a campaign to see how the numbers change. Finally, with earned media, you can use services like Google Alerts to monitor how often your market or program is mentioned. Google Alerts is a free service that will send you an email notification anytime your market or program name is mentioned in various online sources, including web pages, newspaper articles, and blogs. If you don't have the capacity to track individual aspects of your campaign, another way to track is to simply ask your customers how they learned about the market in a seasonal survey. Now we're going to turn to our focus to raising funds, which is critical to maintaining and growing your program. We'll talk about various ways to ensure adequate resources, from applying for government grants to engaging in online fundraising campaigns. Just as diversifying crops lowers risk for farmers, having a diversity of funders lowers risk for your program. There are a number of grants available from the federal government, many of which are from the USDA. Most of us are aware of the Food Insecurity and Nutrition Incentive Grant, also called FINI, which is currently partially funding many of our network's incentive programs. The USDA is scheduled to release a new FINI RFA, a request for applications, this fall. As far as we know, even if you are currently receiving FINI funding as a subrecipient on our 2015 grant, you will be eligible to apply for this next round of FINI funds. The USDA is planning to hold a webinar on the FINI RFA in early October, and we will hold a webinar shortly thereafter on the particulars and how to apply. This is an exciting opportunity, so stay tuned for more information. A second large grant that comes out of the USDA is the Farmers Market Promotion Program, or FMPP. This grant provides funding to increase direct-to-consumer sales and market promotion, but note that it cannot be used to fund direct incentives. In 2014, our network member, City Green in Clifton, New Jersey, was awarded an FMPP grant to expand its existing City Green farmers markets and to start 2 new markets and a mobile market. You can keep track of all federal grant opportunities through several different sources. Through the Federal Register, which is a daily publication that covers rules and notices from federal agencies. Through the USDA's Know Your Farmer, Know Your Food website, or through the National Sustainable Agriculture Coalition's blog, to name just a few. Lastly, in addition to government grants at the federal level, there are also state and local level grants to pursue. Try searching for grants through your state or local departments of agriculture, health, or economic development. There are many other opportunities for funding beyond grants if you do not currently have the capacity to take on either the application process or reporting requirements, which can be intensive, especially with federal grants. One option is to pursue corporate sponsorship. Many businesses want to demonstrate their corporate responsibility to improving access to healthy foods. Local businesses near your market may be interested in a sponsorship as it's a great way to gain additional promotion. Reach out to local restaurants, banks, or any nearby business, especially those that may be benefiting from increased traffic as a result of their proximity to your market. Also consider pursuing national companies, as they often have larger budgets and could potentially fund your incentive program for the entire season. We'd like to highlight our network member, Farm Fresh Rhode Island's great use of corporate sponsorship dollars for their annual fundraising event, the Local Food Fest. In return for funding, Farm Fresh placed the sponsor's logo in the event's program, in emails about the event, and on the event's webpage. They also hung the sponsor's banners at the event and reserved seating for sponsors' guests. Here are a few additional ideas of what you can offer your sponsor, including placing their logo on your marketing materials, like market schedules, flyers, or t-shirts, or on your social media or print media advertising. Or consider offering the sponsor a promotional booth or table at your market so they can communicate directly with your customers. To attract sponsors, it's helpful to create a sponsorship package that clearly outlines what you are offering in exchange for funding for your program. Include options for a few different sponsorship levels so that you have something to present to all potential sponsors, from community businesses that may have just a few $100s to national corporations, which have deeper pockets and potentially several thousands of dollars. In the package, be sure to include a demographic profile of your customers, as sponsors will be interested in who makes up your customer base. Use the detailed information you collected through the customer surveys that we discussed earlier in the webinar. Also provide information to let potential sponsors know about your reach, such as how many hits you receive on your website, how many followers you have for each of your social media accounts, and any positive press your program or market has received. Finally, develop a sponsorship commitment form that clearly outlines each of your roles and captures all of the information you need from your sponsor. Grants and sponsorships can bring in relatively large amounts of money, but as we mentioned earlier, it's helpful to have a diversity of funders to guard against lapses in or losses of funding. In the next few slides, we'll talk about a few additional suggestions for raising funds. The first is Friends of the Market, which is essentially an adaptation of fundraising campaigns you may have heard on your public radio station. People are invited to donate a set amount of money, usually between $10 and $50 per month or per season, to support the market. To encourage donors, make it clear where their money is going. For example, your $20 monthly donation will help support a low-income family to double their SNAP benefits to purchase more healthy food. You may also offer small gifts to your donors, like a tote bag or a small discount on certain market products. But ensure that the associated costs of the gift do not outstrip the donation amount. And this is a reminder that holds true for all fundraising suggestions in this section. Crowdfunding is the practice of raising money from a large number of people, typically via the internet, and popular sites include Kickstarter and Indiegogo. The key to crowdfunding is getting the word out, so ensure that you circulate language and guidelines to your staff so they can easily send these out through their online networks. Again, you'll want to offer several donation levels and provide small gifts. Another popular option is to offer market merchandise, such as tote bags, shirts, or simple kitchen equipment. Many market shoppers are proud to show off their support of the market through these types of items and to literally wear their pride on their sleeves. A few things to consider if you'd like to get into market merchandise. One is that these items can be expensive to produce, so consider creative ways to keep costs low, like working with design students from a university who may volunteer their time. Another tip is that this additional inventory will require someone to manage it, so ensure that you have the capacity to do so at your market. We'd like to highlight our network member, Portland Farmers Market here. They sell t-shirts, sweatshirts, tote bags, baby onesies, stickers, and more through their website, and all of these lovely items feature the market logo and were created by a local artist. The market uses the proceeds from these online merchandise sales to help support their market and incentive program. And finally, there are annual appeals. These are coordinated donation asks to individual donors that are held usually once or twice a year, often at the end of the calendar year or at the start of spring. And as of just a few years ago, on a day now designated as Giving Tuesday, which is an annual national day of giving held the first Tuesday after Thanksgiving. Your annual appeals are an opportunity for you to share success stories about your market and your program. This is a great place to use any quotes or testimonials you may have gathered from your customers to lend an emotional element to the appeal.
Thank you again, Lauren. Moving on to innovations. The data that you've gathered and are reporting on should give you an idea of how you can best innovate on your program to better serve consumers, bring in new market customers, and further spur farmer sales. Program innovation can take a number of forms. Think in depth about small changes that you can make or add to your program design that will excite customers and increase the efficacy of your incentive operations. Let's discuss a few of these now. Many markets have seen success with loyalty programs, which give customers an additional incentive or small gift after a certain number of market purchases. Network member Billings Forge Farmers Market in Connecticut, for example, uses a punch card and gives $5 in incentives to spend at the market to customers with every 7th visit. This way of rewarding repeat customers encourages extra market visits, further increasing sales for farmers while making it more likely that these customers are buying more healthy food. You can also reward regular customers who are excited about your market and program by offering an incentive to those who bring a friend to market. Prescription programs are an innovative way to connect healthcare providers in your community to your markets and can take any number of forms. A prescription incentive program can be as simple as granting customers with extra incentive dollars for participating in a health screening to full integration with a healthcare provider who can provide counseling and regular incentives for clinic visits, or merely distributing incentives through classes associated with health, like those for diabetes management or healthy eating. Wholesome Wave operates an intensive prescription program called FBRX. Patients who participate in Wholesome Wave's fruit and vegetable prescription program meet with healthcare providers on a monthly basis to receive tailored counseling on ways to improve their health and diet, and are prescribed FBRX prescription vouchers that can be redeemed at farm-to-retail businesses for fresh fruits and vegetables. Designed to support and engage the patient's family as a whole, FBRX benefits, which are typically $1 per household member per day, are provided to the patient and all household members. Throughout the FBRX program, participants and their families also meet with trained nutritionists and health educators who provide ongoing assessment and guidance on fruit and vegetable consumption and the replacement of unhealthy foods with fresh produce. Results from a 2013 evaluation of Wholesome Wave's fruit and vegetable prescription program demonstrate that these programs result in a number of positive health and economic impact for participants. More on the program can be found on Wholesome Wave's website. There are many ways to innovate on your program by adding complementary programming, a few examples of which we'll share with you now. Close the Gap programs, like the one operated by network member Seacoast Eat Local, grants incentive customers an additional free incentive at the end of the month if and when their federal benefits run out. Since many SNAP customers, for example, spend through their federal benefit dollars in the first couple of weeks of the month, Close the Gap programs can be a great way to keep food dollars circulating for your vendors and ensure continued access to healthy food for such customers. A number of the network members operate incentive programs for kids, meant to better engage children with shopping at the market and eating fresh fruits and vegetables. These programs can take a number of forms, from North End Action Team's Kid Coins, which give children at the market 5 tokens to spend on fresh produce, or Adelante Mujeres Market Sprouts Kids Club, which gives children at the market a passport that grants them a market bag and incentives, as well as access throughout the season to programming that, quote, encourages a better understanding of farmers, food, and healthy choices. There are also organizations who are working to integrate fitness initiatives into their incentive programs. Brass City Harvest, for example, partners with the local hospital in order to offer incentive to customers who meet certain fitness benchmarks. Some program operators are also experimenting with integrations of technology and digital incentives. Be aware that there are programs around the country that are innovating in the introduction of digital incentives to streamline program administration and make the incentive process easier for consumers and vendors. Two notable efforts in the field are Mobile Market Plus and the Massachusetts Federation of Farmers Markets e-token system. More on these innovations are available in the Growing Your Incentive Program Toolkit. As your program continues to expand, you may find that you need outside assistance in program analysis. Don't hesitate to reach to outside experts to help grow and analyze your incentive program. Leveraging the experience of other program operators, consultants, or researchers can and will solidify the growth and strength of your program. Research experts and evaluators can take your pre-existing data set and help you better understand your program's growth and impacts. While you focus on program implementation, outside research experts associated with a local firm or university can help you to uncover economic and community benefits of incentive programs or farmers markets, health impacts on families and communities, behavioral changes in farmers market or incentive program customers, and your program's effect on increasing food access via mapping projects. Researchers and evaluators can also help with survey design and administration. As noted, you want to ensure that your data collection practices are properly built in order to make strong claims. Even if you don't use these groups to develop your surveys, you can at minimum reach out to have them review your surveys and methodology. Outside consultants can be helpful for a number of reasons and truly help you grow the reach and impact of your nutrition incentive program. If you are limited by expertise or capacity within your organization, consider seeking out independent consultants or an agency well-versed in healthy food access to help with the aspects of your program that can help you grow. You may seek experts in order to conduct focus groups with community members to determine needs and responses to your program. To design and develop a program brand and outreach materials, you might reach out to a graphic design firm. You might use consultants to help develop and implement a media campaign to spur press attention for your program. Facilitate partnerships between organizations to collaborate on incentive programs, especially as you build toward coordinated action. Consultants can be key in helping groups move from discussion to action. Lastly, lobbyists can be used to help you engage in local, state, or federal policy advocacy for incentives on behalf of your program. Conferences are a fantastic way to ensure that you're connecting with others in the field while sharing and learning best practices surrounding incentive programs and healthy food access more generally. There are a number of conferences on both the local and national level that may interest you. Look at the city or statewide level first, especially for farmers market or agricultural conferences that may have programming related to your program. The conferences listed on this slide generally contain major programming regarding incentive program operations. Conferences are not only an opportunity to network and partner with others in the field, you should also consider presenting yourself on significant impacts or innovations related to your nutrition incentive program. We recognize that we have shared a lot of information over the past hour, and we see that we might have some questions coming in. We now have some time for questions, and if we don't get to your question, there is also contact information at the end of the webinar for those who may need to follow up later. We have one question right off the bat. Can you explain Close the Gap programs and how those work a little bit more? So we gave an example earlier of Seacoast Eat Local, who operates a Close the Gap program. So data from the field shows that SNAP consumers usually spend the bulk of their benefits in the first week or two of the month. As soon as they receive those benefits, they usually are spent and out the door. Therefore, at the end of the month, a lot of times SNAP consumers have a gap in their food dollars. They no longer have enough food dollars at the end of the month to continue buying food, especially healthy food. What Close the Gap programs do are have a SNAP consumer show that they're out of their benefits at the end of the month, and then they give them a small incentive amount to sort of stretch them through those last couple of weeks of the month. So that amount is usually somewhere from $10 to $20 in pure incentive dollars that they receive without having to spend any dollars in SNAP at the farmers market. As we mentioned earlier, it's a really great way to make sure that dollars keep circulating for your farmers and they don't just get one big bump of sales at the beginning of the month, but also to make sure that your incentive program customers have enough food dollars to last them throughout the month. Do we have any other questions? We'll just give another moment to see if we have any other questions coming in. right, great. I guess we've been very clear with all the information we've shared. That's fantastic. As mentioned, this webinar shares information from the Growing Your Incentive Program Toolkit, which is available on our online resource library and goes far more in depth with everything that we've shared today. You should have a login for the online resource library already, but if you don't know what it is, please feel free to get in touch with us. Additionally, we'd like to share a quick reminder that Wholesome Wave has recently released a request for applications to the National Nutrition Incentive Network for a new grant opportunity. This grant, which is termed the Nutrition Incentive Program Support and Innovations Grant, funds incentive program operators up to $25,000 for incentive program operations and innovations. Feel free to reach out to your program manager about this opportunity or for a copy of the RFA, and we're so excited to start seeing your grant applications come in. Our next webinar will focus on fundraising, especially regarding the new FINI RFA. Please join us. The invite for that will go out on the Wholesome Wave Nutrition Incentive Network listserv, which is a part of our community of practice and you should all be subscribed to. That is the main way that we get in touch with you, but it's also a very good way for you to get in touch with each other. As you've been listening to this presentation and coming up against unique challenges in your day-to-day, you can use the listserv to ask your peers and fellow practitioners about their creative solutions to these issues. You can also highlight your program to over 250 subscribers when you have an exciting news item or story to share with the group. We encourage you to take advantage of it, to send in topics of interest for our monthly newsletters, and to take advantage of our online resource library as mentioned, where you can view the toolkit we've been discussing today, along with many other tools. You can also submit your program materials there, especially tools that have been especially useful for you. Again, thank you so much for being a part of the network and for attending this webinar. Please feel free to get in touch with us if you have any additional questions, and don't forget to fill out your evaluations after the webinar ends. Cheers!